And now to some breaking news. This news out of Knightstown. A judge just made a decision on an election day mishap that was at the center of a court hearing in Henry County today.
So here's what happened. Republican candidates who lost the primary election for clerk treasurer and town council at large, they're suing the county election board. The board admits a system error let people who don't live in Knightstown vote for town offices, and a recount isn't possible because election officials don't know how many votes were cast that shouldn't have been. Today, the judge ordered a special election for both races. The county clerk now has 10 days to come up with a plan for that special election, which will likely be late next month or August. So essentially a primary do-over coming to voters in Knightstown. Also today, one of the jurors in a Marion County murder trial now faces charges after the judge declared a mistrial. This was the trial of Tony McClure, who's charged with starving her 5-year-old daughter to death back in 2024. It was expected to take more than a week, but yesterday on day 2, McClure's defense asked for a mistrial, and the judge granted it because a juror allegedly had inappropriate conversations with a witness outside the courtroom. And we learned today that juror is now charged with what's called indirect contempt of court, disobedience of process. As for the trial, that'll have to start all over again. It's been rescheduled for August 24th.
And the list keeps getting longer for Central Indiana school districts considering a ballot referendum. You can now add Carmel to that list. The Carmel Clay School Board is weighing an operating referendum that would repeal and replace the district's 2 existing referendums. So there's a meeting set for tonight about it. It starts at 6. 13 News will be there and we'll let you know what happens.
4:05 on this Wednesday afternoon. Rob Ellis is here with a look at the weather, and it's just another beautiful summer day out there.
It has been quite nice. The humidity was on the lower side this morning. I don't know if you noticed how crisp and cool it felt earlier
Very
in the day.
comfortable. You could tell a difference.
It felt more
nice.
like early spring a little bit.
It did. Don't worry. It's going to feel like summer yet again pretty soon. You don't have to wait too long in Indiana for the humidity to creep back up, and it will. We'll start to see a little bit of that for tonight. Let me show you what's happening right now on radar, because overall things are pretty quiet, but you do notice some of the clouds starting to filter in, a few showers to our north and west. We'll keep an eye on these. I'll zoom in a little bit closer just so you can see some of the lighter returns. Now look, this is moving into an area that's had some relatively dry air in place, so some of this may not actually be reaching the ground, but farther to the north and west, we are seeing a chance for some scattered showers closer to the Chicagoland area and then also across parts of central Illinois. It's there where we're watching the storm threat. We don't think much of that's going to have much of an impact on our forecast until much later in this evening and overnight. In the meantime, 77 is where we sit temperature-wise. A little bit of cooling thanks to the lake to the north. That may be what's fueling a little bit of that chance for some instability there, the contrast between the two. But temperatures through this evening should ease their way out of the 80s. We'll go back into the 70s, and then at some point closer to midnight, we could see a chance for some scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder farther to the north. We'll leave a chance for some thunderstorms in there, but I really think overnight it's going to be more showers than anything else, with a low temperature not quite as crisp and cool as it has been, 65 overnight. Warming back up tomorrow, back into the 80s, but we'll have a chance of some pop-ups. I'll walk you through this and an even better chance for rain in the 7-day forecast, followed by some 90s. It's all coming up.
All right, thank you, Rob. Day 2 of the NBA draft is tonight. We are now less than 3 hours away.
Yes, Jake Query from 107.5 The Fan is back to chat with us about the local prospects. We have a lot of Indiana Hoosier folks, young players, I should say, who are actually who are in the process of being drafted, which is so cool, really exciting.
Indiana could represent well.
Yeah, okay, so here's some of the names we're watching. Braden Smith, Ryan Conwell, C.J. Gunn, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Michael Ajayi, some big names.
Yeah, there are. And look, let's start with Braden Smith, right? Because obviously this is a player that is an Indiana Mr. Basketball, the all-time assist leader in college basketball history. And I think he's going to hear his name called, and I don't think it's going to take very long tonight. Question becomes, do the Pacers jump back in? They don't have a pick here in the second round, and there's talk that they could, guys, that there are some players that might intrigue them as you take a look at Braden Smith. Could that be one of those? That's a question mark. But I do think that somebody's going to find a spot for Braden Smith because he is an elite level floor general. He can pass, obviously. He also can shoot the basketball. He is undersized, but he has what's called the long wingspan, and that kind of offsets his shorter size. And as he said, he's been short his entire career, so he's used to playing it that way.
That's right.
I think he is one of them that is certainly going to hear his name called. And then Conwell, who you also mentioned, out of Pike High School, big-time scorer. Played at 4 different schools in 4 years, and I think that means, as you see there, he kind of saved the best for last because he was a big-time scorer at Louisville. He also a little bit undersized, but I think that teams might be intrigued by the fact that he played in 4 different systems in 4 years. So he's got some versatility there. And there is no price you can put on simply being able to score the basketball. He's a very good shooter and can get his own shot. I think he also probably goes before pick 40 tonight, around the same spot as Braden Smith.
Okay, let's go back to another Purdue alum, Trey Kaufman-Renn. What do you think about his prospects?
I think Kaufman-Renn had a really good, Dustin, NBA prospect camp when he went out at their scouting combine, because the big question mark was, at his size, you got to be able to shoot from the outside. And Purdue never really needed him to do that, nor asked him to do that. And he did have good exhibitions in Chicago, as you see there. That's where he was most effective for the Boilermakers, playing near the rim. But they're going to need him at the NBA level at his size to stretch defenses out a little bit. And he has shot the ball very well throughout workouts. I think he might fall into that category, though, like Trace Jackson Davis when he went to Golden State, of it has to be situational and a place that has a designed spot for him as opposed to somebody that takes a flyer. So he may be better off actually not getting drafted than being able to pick and choose where he signs as an undrafted free agent to a situation that best fits his style.
Yeah, you know so much about the X's and O's. I love the storylines, the personal storylines that come out of watching the NBA draft, which is cool. And I feel like we're seeing this new generation of players that, of course, they have it on the court, but they're forced to know about the business and present more so as personalities, which I think is so cool to the culture, adding to the culture of NBA. And
well, and one of those that has that backstory you like is Michael Ayaji, who you mentioned from Butler, because he's a guy that was kind of has been an underdog story throughout his career because he had a late growth spurt. And so as a result of that, he was told forever throughout high school and early in his basketball days that he was too small. So he had to learn playing on the perimeter. Now he's grown into being a bigger player. And as a result of that, he plays and has the ability to play at a smaller size than what he is, and he is fueled, Felicia, by exactly that. It's like the Olympics. We love the Olympics because you like the backstory and you like to hear the backgrounds and the biographies. He's one of them, I think, that has a great story that ended up at Butler. Don't know that he hears his name called tonight, but I think teams are very intrigued by his ability to play a little bit smaller than what his size presents.
yeah, too small. Tell you that to Jalen Brunson.
That's true. That is true.
Indiana living up to its basketball reputation.
Okay, Hoosiers.
Love it. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate
All right, guys.
it, as always. Hey, Eli.
The Fever are looking for back-to-back victories over the Phoenix Mercury this evening. I have a few keys on how they could potentially get that done. That's coming up after the break.
And we are tracking increasing rain chances through the weekend. And even though the rain chances come down for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, there's a different problem in the forecast. I'll show you.